You want to create some sort of a flow. So what you want to do is you want to have some sort of consistency. So you don't have to, again, stick with the exact same color as you're going through, but when somebody walks from one room into the next, you can tell that there's a connection there. Really popular right now are the whites. I have sold more Simply White and Chantilly White, which has been our trim colors for as long as I can remember, and all of a sudden they are going on the walls. One of the things to look at in your home is your lighting, your natural light source, whether you're north facing, south facing. A white room, a north facing room that's painted white will be cold. Unless you do some real major throwing in a bunch of warm accents and a lot of them, it's going to be chilly because it's not giving off any warmth. It will, on the other hand, make your room appear a bit bigger. White does not absorb light, it actually reflects it. Whether it's white or light colors, they do have a tendency of opening up a room. Dark colors do have a tendency of making the room smaller, but again, depending on your light source. If you've got a nice bright room, then you can use a darker color. Just at nighttime, you might have to add a little bit more light. So this one's got a room, it's all nice and white. Same room, darken it up. Did you see how that room just kind of seemed to just close in on itself? That's the difference in how much that color is absorbing of the light out of the room. Her taste. Now, take that same room, and then we're going to break it into two colors. Every time you change the color in a room, your eye stops and starts. But what really makes a room smaller in feel is how many times you break the color. So you get a lot of that popular when that single wall, painting one wall as an accent wall, was popular. So darker colors have a tendency of coming at you. Lighter colors push it away. So it also breaks up the room and makes it busier. So every time you look at a room and your colors stop and start, your eyes stop and start. Darker colors, I love darker colors and fun colors in powder rooms because you go in and you're in there and you're back out again. And it's that room where usually your guests go. So if you want to have some fun, whether it's paint or some funky big wallpaper, that's a room to do it in. Dining rooms, darker again, depending on the activity of the room. Ceilings. This is the one space that a lot of people forget about. So when you're doing your room, that's one of the things that I would suggest, look up. And don't be afraid to use color on it, but we are getting more into white. So the more popular right now is to do those white colors on the ceiling and the trim. If you've got a really tall ceiling in a room that you want to bring down, all you have to do is put a bit of color on it, and it'll actually lower it. When you pick colors, come and get the test pot. Paint it out on something big. I get a big board, some people use a piece of drywall. Paint out the big board and you've got something that you can walk around your room. You can stick it behind the couch. You can bring it over and put it beside the door and see what it looks like walking into another room. You can put it on this one to see what it looks like behind the flowers. And if you don't like it, you can come and get another test pot with a new color and try it again. Live with it for a few days before you make that final decision. Even though a color might be perfect, in some areas you might have to adjust it to look good in all the areas of the room. So here's just another image as well, just for, again, your direct sunlight, indirect sunlight, and artificial light. So test the colors, and that way you're going to see what that color looks like as the lighting changes, and you're going to make sure that that color works at all the different times of the day. Benjamin Moore has the best color system that has gone through the years. There's always something. It's amazing how those 3,500 colors just keep moving through the years. There's your test pot. Out of 3,500 colors, that first one may not always work. So take your test pot home and just try it. Make sure that it works in your house. The other thing I did want to mention too, just before I go, is two things. If you're really stuck, I do in-home consulting. There is a fee. You do regain a little bit because there's a discount at the store when you purchase your paint, so it does help. Having somebody else come out to the house, it is a bit of an expense, but what we do when we come into your house is we're not emotionally involved. So when we look at it as a whole, bringing it together, and we actually see things that sometimes you forget that are even there because you're used to looking at it all the time. Thank you so much. If you've got any questions, I'm going to hang out for a little while.